Between 1980 and 2000, over 1,000 Guatemalan children were taken from their mothers and sold to wealthy American families through a network of orphanages, lawyers, and corrupt officials. The babies weren't abandoned. They weren't orphans. They were stolen from hospital maternity wards, snatched from poor villages, and bought from desperate mothers who were told their children would have better lives. The truth was far darker. This is the story of Casa Quetzal, the orphanage at the center of Guatemala's most horrifying adoption scandal. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where you're rewatching from and what time it is there right now. Let's see how many countries this story reaches. April 1997, Antigua, Guatemala, Jennifer Morrison stepped off the plane at La Aurora International Airport with her husband David. They had flown from Connecticut. They were both 38 years old. They had been trying to have a baby for 10 years. 5 rounds of IVF, 3 miscarriages, tens of thousands of dollars spent. Their doctor finally told them it wasn't going to happen naturally, so they decided to adopt. Their adoption agency, International Children's Hope, told them Guatemala was the best option. Fast process, healthy babies, less paperwork than China or Russia. The agency said they could have a baby in their arms within 6 months, maybe sooner. Jennifer and David paid $30,000 up front. Fees, they were told, legal costs, orphanage donations, foster care expenses. They didn't ask too many questions. They just wanted a baby. The agency sent them to Casa Quetzal, an orphanage in Antigua, run by a woman named Sister Maria Gonzalez. The agency said Sister Maria was a saint, that she had been rescuing abandoned babies for 20 years, that she worked with the poorest communities in Guatemala to give unwanted children a chance at life. When Jennifer and David arrived at Casa Quetzal, they were struck by how clean everything was. The building was a renovated colonial house painted bright yellow. There were cribs lined up in rows, about 40 babies, all under 6 months old. Some were sleeping, some were crying. A few Guatemalan women in white uniforms were feeding bottles and changing diapers. Sister Maria greeted them at the door. She was in her 50s, gray hair, warm smile. She wore a simple blue dress, not a nun's habit. She spoke perfect English. "Welcome, Sister Maria," said, "Must be the Morrisons. We've been expecting you." She led them through the orphanage, showed them the nursery, the play area, the medical room. Everything looked legitimate, professional, safe. Most of these babies come from very poor families, Sister Maria explained. Mothers who cannot afford to feed them, fathers who have abandoned them. Some are found on doorsteps. Some are brought to us by villages that cannot care for them. We give them medical attention, food, love, and then we help them find families who can provide the life they deserve. Jennifer felt tears in her eyes. She looked at all those babies and her heart broke. How could mothers give up their children? But then she remembered what the agency told her. Guatemala was poor. Mothers were desperate. The children were better off in America. "We have a baby for you, Sister," Maria said. She walked to a crib in the corner and picked up a tiny infant wrapped in a pink blanket. "This is Sofia. She's 3 months old. Her mother died in childbirth. No family came forward to claim her. She needs a home." Jennifer took the baby in her arms. Sofia was beautiful. Dark hair, brown eyes, tiny fingers that wrapped around Jennifer's thumb. Jennifer looked at David and saw tears on his face too. "She's perfect," Jennifer whispered. "There's some paperwork to complete," Sister Maria said. "The Guatemalan courts need to process the adoption. It will take about 4 weeks. You can return home and we'll call you when everything is ready. Then you can come back and take Sofia home forever." Jennifer didn't want to leave. She wanted to take Sofia right then, but Sister Maria assured her it was necessary. Legal process, government requirements, everything had to be done properly. The Morrisons flew back to Connecticut. 4 weeks later, they got the call. The adoption was approved. They flew back to Guatemala, signed papers at a lawyer's office, and left the country with their daughter. Sofia Morrison grew up in Connecticut. She had a good life, loving parents, good schools, a nice house, everything. But 20 years later, in 2017, Sofia got a Facebook message that changed everything. The message was from a woman in Guatemala named Ana Reyes. The message said, "I think I'm your mother. I think you were stolen from me." Let's go back to 1996. 1 year before the Morrisons adopted Sofia, Ana Reyes was 19 years old. She lived in a small village called San Pedro Zacatepeques, about an hour outside Guatemala City. She worked in a textile factory making clothes for export. She made $30 a week. She lived with her parents in a 2-room house with a tin roof. Ana got pregnant by her boyfriend, Miguel. He was 21. He worked construction. They weren't married, but they were planning to be. When Ana told Miguel she was pregnant, he was scared but happy. They would make it work. They would raise the baby together. Ana gave birth on January 15, 1997, at a public hospital in Guatemala City. It was a difficult birth, 12 hours of labor, but the baby was healthy, a girl 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Ana named her Mariela. Ana held Mariela for maybe 10 minutes. Then a nurse came and said the baby needed to be checked. Standard procedure. They would bring her back soon. The nurse never brought Mariela back. An hour later, a doctor came into Ana's room. He looked uncomfortable. He said there had been complications. The baby had stopped breathing. They tried to revive her, but couldn't. The baby was dead. Ana screamed. She demanded to see her daughter. The doctor said it wasn't a good idea, that Ana needed to rest, that seeing a dead baby would traumatize her. He gave her a sedative. Ana fought it, but eventually the drugs pulled her under. When Ana woke up the next morning, Miguel was sitting beside her bed crying. He told her the hospital had already taken care of the body. There wouldn't be a funeral. The hospital had a policy for indigent families. They handled everything. It was already done. Ana was destroyed. She fell into a depression so deep she couldn't get out of bed for weeks. Her mother tried to help, but didn't know what to do. Miguel blamed himself. Their relationship fell apart. But something didn't feel right to Ana. The more time passed, the more questions she had. Why didn't they let her see Mariela's body? Why did they rush to dispose of it? Why were the hospital staff so evasive when she called asking for death certificates and records? 6 months after Mariela's birth, Ana went back to the hospital. She demanded to see her daughter's death certificate. After hours of arguing, a clerk finally gave her a photocopy. Ana looked at it carefully. Something was wrong. The time of death was listed as 3:45 a.m., but Ana gave birth at 6:30 p.m. The nurse took Mariela away at 6:45 p.m. If Mariela died at 3:45 a.m., that meant she was alive for 9 hours after they took her from Ana's arms. Why didn't they tell Ana? Why didn't they let Ana see her daughter during those 9 hours? Ana started asking more questions. She went to the hospital administrator. She was told the records were confidential. She went to the police. They said there was nothing to investigate. Babies died in hospitals all the time, but Ana wouldn't let it go. She started talking to other women from her village. She discovered she wasn't alone. There were other mothers who gave birth at public hospitals and were told their babies died. Mothers who never got to see the bodies, mothers who had questions that nobody would answer. Ana found 12 women in her area with similar stories. All of them gave birth between 1995 and 1997, all at public hospitals. All told their babies died shortly after birth. All denied the chance to see or hold their dead children. That's when Ana started to suspect the truth. The babies weren't dead, they were stolen, but who was taking them? And where were they going? Ana spent the next 3 years investigating. She had no money, no resources, no legal help. She just had determination. She talked to nurses who had left the hospitals. She talked to social workers. She talked to anyone who would listen. In 2000, a former hospital worker finally told Ana the truth. There was a network: doctors, nurses, lawyers, and orphanages. They targeted poor mothers, single mothers, indigenous mothers, mothers who wouldn't be able to fight back. They would take the babies right after birth, tell the mothers the babies died, and then falsify death certificates. The babies would be taken to private orphanages where they would be adopted by wealthy foreigners, mostly Americans. Each adoption was worth $30,000 to $50,000. The doctors and lawyers split the money. The orphanage at the center of it all was Casa Quetzal in Antigua, run by a woman named Sister Maria Gonzalez. Except she wasn't actually a nun. She was a businesswoman who saw an opportunity. Ana asked the hospital worker, "How do I prove this? How do I find my daughter?" The worker said, "I don't know, but I know there are hundreds of children, maybe thousands, and they're all living in America now with families who think they adopted orphans." Ana made a decision that day. She would find her daughter no matter how long it took. 11 years after Mariela was taken, an American attorney named Patricia Walsh was working at a human rights organization in Guatemala City. Patricia was 45 years old. She had spent her career fighting for indigenous rights and working on post-Civil War reconciliation in Guatemala. The Guatemalan Civil War had ended in 1996, but the country was still recovering from 36 years of violence. Patricia started noticing something strange. She kept getting contacted by young Guatemalan Americans, people who had been adopted in the 1980s and 1990s, who were coming back to Guatemala trying to find their birth families. They all had similar stories. They grew up in the United States. They always knew they were adopted. But when they tried to find information about their birth families, they hit walls. The paperwork didn't make sense. The orphanages listed on their documents didn't exist anymore. The lawyers who handled their adoptions had disappeared. Patricia started digging. She requested adoption records from the Guatemalan government. What she found shocked her. Between 1980 and 2000, over 30,000 Guatemalan children were adopted by foreign families, mostly American. For a country of only 12 million people, that number was astronomical. It was one of the highest international adoption rates in the world. But the records were a mess. Forged documents, falsified birth certificates, death certificates for mothers who were still alive, orphanage certifications for babies whose parents never gave consent. Patricia realized this wasn't just a few isolated cases of fraud. This was systematic. This was industrial-scale child trafficking. She started investigating Casa Quetzal specifically because it kept appearing in the documents. Between 1985 and 2000, Casa Quetzal had facilitated over 1,200 adoptions. That was more than any other orphanage in Guatemala. The numbers didn't add up. Where were all these babies coming from? Guatemala didn't have that many actual orphans. Patricia found Sister Maria Gonzalez. By 2008, Casa Quetzal had been closed for 3 years due to legal issues. Sister Maria was living in a wealthy neighborhood in Guatemala City, in a house that was worth at least $500,000. Interesting for someone who supposedly spent her life in charity work. Patricia confronted her, asked her directly where all those babies came from. Sister Maria denied everything, said the babies were legitimate orphans, said she had followed all legal procedures, said Patricia was attacking her because she was jealous of the good work Casa Quetzal had done. But Patricia kept digging. She found nurses who had worked at Casa Quetzal. She found drivers who had transported babies. She found lawyers who had processed the adoptions. And slowly, piece by piece, she built a case. The system worked like this. Doctors at public hospitals would identify vulnerable mothers, poor women, indigenous women, single mothers, women who came to the hospital alone. When these women gave birth, the doctors would take the babies immediately, claiming medical necessity. They would tell the mothers the babies died. They would give the mothers sedatives to keep them quiet. They would forge death certificates. The babies would be taken to Casa Quetzal. Sister Maria would create false paperwork claiming the babies were abandoned or relinquished. She would list them as available for adoption. American adoption agencies would match the babies with wealthy American families desperate for children. The families would pay $30,000 to $50,000 per adoption. Sister Maria and her network would split the money. The doctors got paid, the lawyers got paid, the nurses got paid, everyone got rich. The American families had no idea. They thought they were saving orphans. They were given paperwork that looked legitimate. They believed the stories they were told. They loved the children they adopted. They were victims too. But the real victims were the mothers. Women like Ana Reyes, who spent years believing their children were dead. Women who grieved for babies that were actually alive, living in America with new names and new families. Patricia published her findings in 2009. The report was called Stolen Innocence: Guatemala's Adoption Trafficking Crisis. It detailed over 800 suspected cases of illegal adoption, many of them connected to Casa Quetzal. The Guatemalan government was forced to act. They opened an investigation. They started trying to contact families in the United States who had adopted children through Casa Quetzal. They wanted DNA tests. They wanted to match children with mothers who claimed their babies had been stolen. That's when everything exploded. 20 years after Mariela was born, Ana Reyes never stopped searching. For 20 years, she looked for her daughter. She joined support groups for mothers who lost children to illegal adoption. She worked with Patricia Walsh's organization. She gave DNA samples. She waited. In 2015, a DNA database was created for Guatemalan mothers searching for stolen children and adoptees searching for birth families. Ana submitted her DNA. So did hundreds of other mothers. So did hundreds of adoptees. In 2017, there was a match. Ana got a call from Patricia Walsh. "We found her. We found Mariella. She's alive. She's living in Connecticut. Her name is Sofia Morrison." Ana couldn't breathe. For 20 years, she had hoped. But a part of her had believed Mariella was really dead. That maybe she was wrong. That maybe she was just a grieving mother who couldn't accept reality. But she was right. Her daughter was alive. Patricia gave Ana Sofia's contact information, an email address, a Facebook profile. Patricia warned Ana to be careful. Sofia didn't know she was stolen. Sofia thought she was a legitimate adoptee. This information could destroy her world. Ana spent 3 days staring at Sofia's Facebook profile. There were photos: Sofia at her high school graduation, Sofia at college, Sofia with friends, Sofia with her parents, Jennifer and David Morrison. Sofia looked happy. She looked loved. She looked like she had a good life. Ana cried looking at those photos. She had missed everything. First steps, first words, birthdays, graduations, 20 years of her daughter's life. But she also felt angry. These people raised her daughter. They took her daughter from her. Even if they didn't know, even if they were innocent, they had what Ana should have had. Ana finally sent the message. It took her an hour to write it. She didn't know what to say. How do you tell someone their entire life is a lie? "Hello, Sofia. My name is Ana Reyes. I am writing to you from Guatemala. I believe I am your biological mother. I gave birth to you on January 15, 1997, at Roosevelt Hospital in Guatemala City. The hospital told me you died shortly after birth, but I now have evidence that you were taken from me and adopted through an illegal trafficking network. I have been searching for you for 20 years. I know this is shocking and difficult to understand, but I need you to know that I never gave you up. I never wanted to lose you. You were stolen from me. I can prove it with DNA tests if you're willing. I don't want to disrupt your life. I just want you to know the truth. I want you to know that you have a mother in Guatemala who has loved you and searched for you every single day for 20 years. Please respond if you can. With love, Ana." Ana hit send and then waited. Sofia Morrison saw the message 3 days later. At first, she thought it was a scam, some kind of fraud. People trying to get money from adoptees by claiming to be long-lost relatives. It happened all the time. But something about the message felt different. The details were too specific. The date matched Sofia's birthday. The hospital name matched the information on Sofia's adoption papers. And there was something in the tone of the message. Desperation. Love. Truth. Sofia showed the message to her parents. Jennifer and David were devastated. They insisted it couldn't be true. Their adoption was legal. The agency had assured them the paperwork was legitimate. Sister Maria had told them Sofia's mother died in childbirth, but Sofia wanted to know for sure. She agreed to a DNA test. 3 weeks later, the results came back. 99.9% match. Ana Reyes was definitely Sofia's biological mother. Sofia's world fell apart. Everything she knew about her identity was a lie. She wasn't an orphan. She wasn't abandoned. She was stolen. Her real name was Mariella. She had a mother who had been searching for her for 20 years. She had a family in Guatemala she never knew existed. Jennifer and David Morrison were in shock. They had paid $30,000 to International Children's Hope. They had trusted Sister Maria. They had believed they were doing a good thing. And now they realized they had unknowingly participated in child trafficking. They had raised a stolen child. The guilt was crushing, but the love was real. They had raised Sofia. She was their daughter. They loved her. But now they had to face the fact that their happiness was built on another woman's suffering. Sofia decided to meet Ana. In March 2018, Sofia flew to Guatemala for the first time since she was 3 months old. Ana waited at the airport with her family. Her parents, Sofia's grandparents, Miguel, Sofia's biological father, who had never stopped wondering about his daughter, Ana's 2 other children, Sofia's half-siblings. When Sofia walked through the arrival's gate, Ana knew her immediately. She had the same eyes, the same face. Ana ran to her and hugged her and cried and couldn't let go. "I looked for you," Ana said in Spanish. Sofia didn't speak Spanish well, but she understood enough. "I looked for you every day. I never stopped. I love you. I always loved you." Sofia cried too. She said, "I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I didn't know." They spent 2 weeks together. Ana showed Sofia her childhood home, introduced her to the family, told her stories about the day she was born, showed her the hospital where it happened. Sofia was torn apart inside. She loved Jennifer and David. They were her parents. They raised her, but Ana was her mother too. Ana was the woman who gave birth to her, who searched for her, who never gave up. How do you reconcile that? How do you have two mothers? How do you love both without betraying one? There were no easy answers. After Sofia's story went public, hundreds of other adoptees started coming forward. They had all been adopted from Guatemala in the 1980s and 1990s. Many of them had been told their birth mothers died. Many of them had paperwork from Casa Quetzal, and now they were all wondering the same thing. Were they stolen too? Patricia Walsh's organization was flooded with requests. Adoptees wanting DNA tests. Birth mothers who had been told their babies died suddenly, realizing those babies might be alive. American families terrified that their adoptions might be illegal. The DNA database expanded rapidly. More samples, more tests, more matches. By the end of 2018, they had confirmed 347 cases of illegal adoption connected to Casa Quetzal alone. That was 347 children who had been stolen from their mothers and sold to American families. 347 mothers who had been lied to for decades. 347 families torn apart by greed. But Casa Quetzal wasn't the only orphanage involved. Patricia's investigation revealed at least 15 other orphanages across Guatemala that were part of the network. The Guatemalan government finally took action. They announced a formal investigation in January 2019. They wanted to prosecute everyone involved. The doctors who stole babies, the nurses who lied to mothers, the lawyers who forged documents, the orphanage operators who facilitated the trafficking. And most of all, they wanted Sister Maria Gonzalez. There was just one problem. Sister Maria was gone. Nobody had seen Sister Maria Gonzalez since 2015. When Casa Quetzal was forced to close in, 2005, due to mounting legal questions, Sister Maria had quietly disappeared from public life. She stopped attending church, stopped participating in community events, stopped answering phone calls. Investigators went to her house in Guatemala City. The house was empty. Neighbors said she had moved out in 2015, and they hadn't seen her since. No forwarding address, no information about where she went. Guatemalan authorities issued a warrant for her arrest in February 2019. They charged her with child trafficking, fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. The charges carried a potential sentence of 40 years in prison, but finding her was difficult. Sister Maria wasn't her real name. Her legal name was Maria Elena Gonzalez Morales. She was born in 1952 in Quetzaltenango. She never actually was a nun or had any religious training. The sister title was something she gave herself to appear trustworthy. It worked. For 20 years, people believed she was a woman of God helping orphans. In reality, she was running a criminal enterprise that destroyed families. Interpol got involved. They tracked her financial records between 1985 and 2005. Maria Elena Gonzalez had moved over $8 million through various bank accounts. $8 million from an orphanage that supposedly operated on donations. The math didn't add up, unless you realized each baby was worth $30,000 to $50,000, and she had trafficked over 1,200 children. In August 2019, they found her. She was living in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, under a different name. She had cosmetic surgery to change her appearance. She was living in a luxury villa with a pool and a view of the mountains. She had been living comfortably on the money she made from stealing babies. Mexican authorities arrested her and extradited her to Guatemala in September 2019. She was 67 years old. She showed no remorse. The trial of Maria Elena Gonzalez began in January 2020. It was the biggest criminal trial in Guatemalan history. The courthouse in Guatemala City was packed every single day. Hundreds of people wanted to see the woman who had torn their families apart finally face justice. The prosecution brought forward witness after witness. Mothers who testified about their babies being stolen. Doctors who admitted they participated in the scheme. Nurses who broke down crying on the stand, describing how they were pressured to lie to mothers. Lawyers who detailed how the paperwork was forged. Ana Reyes testified. She told the court about giving birth to Mariela, about being told her baby died, about 20 years of searching, about finally finding her daughter living in America under a different name. She looked directly at Maria Elena and said, "You stole my child. You told me she was dead. You sold her like she was property. You destroyed my life. And you did it to hundreds of other mothers. You did it for money. Maria Elena sat there emotionless. She was represented by expensive lawyers who tried to argue that she was simply facilitating adoptions, that the mothers had willingly given up their children, that there was no proof the babies were stolen, but the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution had documents showing Maria Elena had paid doctors and nurses for babies. They had testimony from her employees describing how the operation worked. They had DNA evidence proving that children who were supposedly orphans actually had living parents who never consented to adoption. The trial lasted 6 months. On July 15, 2020, the jury reached a verdict: guilty on all counts. Maria Elena Gonzalez was sentenced to 40 years in prison. She would be 97 years old when she got out. Essentially, a life sentence. The courtroom erupted in cheers and tears. Mothers hugged each other. Some of them had waited 30 years for this moment, but the victory felt incomplete. Maria Elena was just one person. There were dozens of other people involved in the network: doctors who stole babies, lawyers who forged papers, adoption agencies in America that turned a blind eye to the obvious fraud. Most of them were never prosecuted. Some had died. Some had fled the country. Some had powerful connections that protected them. After Sofia met Ana in 2018, she went back to Connecticut completely changed. She had 2 families now, 2 mothers, 2 identities. She was Sofia Morrison, the girl from Connecticut who went to college and had a normal American life. But she was also Ana Reyes, the stolen daughter of a Guatemalan mother who never stopped searching for her. Jennifer and David Morrison were devastated. They had raised Sofia for 20 years. They loved her completely. But now they had to face the reality that their daughter had another mother who loved her just as much. A mother who had suffered for 2 decades believing her child was dead. A mother who had every right to be angry at them. Jennifer reached out to Ana. She wrote her a letter. It took her weeks to write it. She didn't know what to say. How do you apologize for something you didn't know you were doing? How do you tell a mother that you're sorry for raising her stolen child? The letter said, "Dear Ana, I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. My husband and I adopted Sofia, believing we were giving a home to an orphan. We were lied to. We trusted people who were criminals. We should have asked more questions. We should have been more careful, but we weren't. And because of that, you suffered. You lost 20 years with your daughter. I am so sorry. I know sorry isn't enough. Nothing I say can give you back those years. But I want you to know that we loved Sofia every single day. We gave her the best life we could. She is kind and smart and strong and beautiful, and that is partly because of you. She has your strength, your determination, your heart. I don't want to take her from you. I don't want to compete with you. I just want what's best for Sofia. And I think what's best for Sofia is to have both of us in her life. If you're willing, with respect, Jennifer." Ana received the letter and cried for an hour. She was angry. She wanted to hate Jennifer and David, but she couldn't. They loved Mariella. They raised her well. They were victims too, in a different way. They were manipulated by the same criminals who stole babies. Ana wrote back. She said she didn't blame Jennifer and David. She blamed Maria Elena Gonzalez. She blamed the system. She blamed the poverty and corruption that allowed this to happen. And she agreed that Sofia should have both families, both mothers, both lives. Sofia spent the next few years traveling between Connecticut and Guatemala, learning Spanish, getting to know her biological family, building a relationship with Ana. It was complicated. It was messy. There were moments of joy and moments of anger and moments of confusion. But slowly, they figured it out. Sofia changed her name legally to Sofia Mariella Morrison Reyes. Both names, both families, both identities. In 2021, Sofia graduated from law school. Both Jennifer and Ana were there. They sat together, they hugged. They celebrated the daughter they both loved. Sofia decided to dedicate her career to helping other families affected by illegal adoption. She joined Patricia Walsh's organization. She became an advocate for adoptees' rights and for birth mothers searching for stolen children. She said in an interview, "I'm one of the lucky ones. I found my birth mother. We have a relationship. But there are thousands of children who still don't know they were stolen. There are thousands of mothers still searching. There are thousands of families living with lies. My job is to help them find the truth." The revelation that Casa Quetzal and other orphanages had been trafficking children created a crisis for hundreds of American families. They had adopted children believing everything was legal. Now they were being told their children might have been stolen. Many of them were contacted by Guatemalan authorities asking them to participate in DNA testing. Some families refused. They were afraid. They loved their children and didn't want to lose them. They worried that if the adoption was proven illegal, the Guatemalan government might try to take their children back. So they said no to DNA tests. They cut off communication. They tried to pretend nothing was wrong. Other families agreed to testing. They wanted to know the truth. And when they found out their children had living birth parents, they faced impossible decisions. Some families, like the Morrisons, chose to build relationships with the birth families. They facilitated visits. They shared custody in a sense. They acknowledged that their children had two families. Other families couldn't handle it. The revelation that their adoption was illegal destroyed them. Some marriages fell apart. Some adoptive parents fell into depression. Some children rejected their adoptive parents, feeling betrayed that they had been raised on a lie. There were no winners. Everyone was hurt by what happened. The birth mothers lost years with their children. The children lost their original identities. The adoptive parents lost their innocence and had to live with the guilt of unknowingly participating in trafficking. The adoption agencies faced lawsuits. International Children's Hope, the agency that placed Sofia with the Morrisons, went bankrupt in 2019 after being sued by over 200 families. The founder of the agency denied knowing about the trafficking. He claimed Casa Quetzal had deceived them too. But internal emails showed the agency had received complaints about Casa Quetzal as early as 1998 and had ignored them. Profit mattered more than children. Several other adoption agencies also went out of business or were shut down by the U.S. government. The State Department issued new guidelines for international adoptions, requiring much stricter verification processes. But the damage was done. Over 1,000 children had been stolen. Over 1,000 families had been destroyed. And no amount of policy changes could undo that. Ana Reyes became a leader in the movement to reunite stolen children with their birth families. She helped create an organization called Madres Buscando Mothers Searching. The organization brought together hundreds of Guatemalan mothers who had been told their babies died, but suspected they were actually stolen. The organization worked with Patricia Walsh's legal team to collect DNA samples, search records, and contact adoptees. They created a massive database. They held support group meetings where mothers could share their stories and support each other through the pain. By 2023, Madres Buscando had facilitated over 200 reunions between birth mothers and stolen children. Some reunions were joyful, some were difficult, some children didn't want to meet their birth families. Some mothers discovered their children had died for real, from illness or accidents in America. Some children discovered their birth mothers had died while searching for them. Every story was different. Every story was painful. But the organization gave mothers hope. It gave them answers. It gave them closure, even when the closure wasn't what they hoped for. Ana said in a 2022 interview, "For 20 years, I lived in hell. I didn't know if my daughter was alive or dead. I didn't know if she was safe or suffering. That not knowing was worse than death. Now I know she's alive, she's safe, she's loved, and I have a relationship with her. Not the relationship I should have had, not the 20 years I lost, but something, and that something is precious." The organization also pushed for justice. They lobbied the Guatemalan government to continue investigating and prosecuting everyone involved in the trafficking network. They pushed for reparations for mothers who lost children. They pushed for apologies from the American government and adoption agencies. Progress was slow. Many of the criminals were never caught. Many mothers never found their children. Many children never learned the truth about their origins. But the organization didn't give up. They kept searching. They kept fighting. They kept demanding justice. In 2008, Guatemala suspended all international adoptions indefinitely due to the trafficking scandal. The Hague Convention on International Adoption, which sets standards for ethical adoptions, was implemented. Guatemala didn't allow international adoptions to resume until 2010. And when they did, the process was completely overhauled with strict regulations and oversight. Other countries followed: Ethiopia, Uganda, and several other nations that had high rates of international adoption implemented new regulations, or suspended adoptions entirely after trafficking concerns emerged. The case of Casa Quetzal became a cautionary tale studied in law schools and social work programs around the world. It showed how international adoption, when not properly regulated, could become a pipeline for child trafficking. It showed how good intentions could be exploited by criminals. It showed how poverty and desperation could be weaponized against vulnerable families. Maria Elena Gonzalez remains in prison in Guatemala. She's 72 years old now. She's never shown remorse. She's never apologized. In a rare interview from prison in 2021, she said, "I gave those children better lives. Their mothers couldn't care for them. I found them families with money, with opportunities, with futures. What I did was a service." When asked about the mothers who were told their babies died when they were actually alive, Maria Elena said they were poor. They would have raised those children in poverty. The children are better off. Her complete lack of empathy shocked even seasoned prosecutors. She genuinely believed she had done nothing wrong. To her, poor mothers were incapable of raising children properly. To her, stealing babies and selling them to wealthy Americans was charity. She will likely die in prison. She has no family who visits her, no friends, just isolation and the weight of what she did to over 1,000 families. Sofia is 33 years old in 2025. She works as an attorney specializing in international adoption law and human rights. She divides her time between Connecticut and Guatemala. She has a close relationship with both Jennifer and Ana. She calls them both mom in different contexts. She speaks fluent Spanish now. She has a Guatemalan boyfriend. She's building a life that honors both of her identities. Ana Reyes is 52 years old. She still works at the textile factory, but now she's also the director of Madres Buscando. She's helped hundreds of mothers search for their children. She's become a voice for stolen children and their families. She's been invited to speak at the United Nations about child trafficking. She never remarried after Miguel, but she has 2 other children from a later relationship. Sofia has a good relationship with her half-siblings. Jennifer and David Morrison are 65 years old. They're retired now. They struggled with guilt for years after learning Sofia was stolen. They went to therapy. They worked through their trauma. They eventually found peace by supporting Ana and helping other families navigate similar situations. They donate to Madres Buscando. They've traveled to Guatemala several times to meet Sofia's extended family. They've been welcomed with love, not anger. Patricia Walsh continues her human rights work. She's now 66 years old. She's been nominated for humanitarian awards for her work exposing the adoption trafficking network. She estimates there are still at least 500 stolen children who haven't been identified. She keeps working. She keeps searching. The other children are scattered across America and other countries. Some have found their birth families. Some are still searching. Some have chosen not to search because the truth is too painful. Some don't even know they were stolen because their adoptive parents have never told them. The hardest part of this story is knowing that right now, in 2025, there are hundreds of people living in America who don't know they were stolen as babies. They're in their 20s, 30s, 40s now. They think they're orphans. They think their birth mothers died or abandoned them. They have no idea that their mothers might still be alive, still searching, still hoping. Some of them might be reading this story right now. And if you were adopted from Guatemala between 1980 and 2000, especially if your adoption was processed through an orphanage in Antigua or Guatemala City, especially if your paperwork says your birth mother died in childbirth, you need to know there's a chance your story isn't what you were told. You can contact Madres Buscando. You can submit DNA to the database. You can search for the truth. It might be painful. It might turn your life upside down. But your birth mother might be out there, and she might have been searching for you for decades. The choice is yours, but you deserve to know the truth. This scandal reminds us that adoption, when done ethically, can be a beautiful thing. It can give children homes and families love. But when adoption is corrupted by money and greed, it becomes trafficking. It becomes theft. It becomes a crime against the most vulnerable people in society, poor mothers and their babies. Guatemala's adoption scandal should have never happened, but it did. And now we have to live with the consequences. We have to help the families heal. We have to prevent it from happening again. And we have to remember the 1,000 children who were stolen. We have to honor their stories. We have to fight for their truth. Because every child deserves to know where they came from. Every mother deserves to know what happened to her baby. And every family deserves justice. Share this story. The more people who know about this, the more children we can help find their families. And remember, international adoption can be ethical and beautiful when done right. But we must always question, always verify, always protect the most vulnerable. Because children are not commodities. They're human beings who deserve the truth.